back right.
Mark Murphy, Boston Herald. Ime, how is Rob recovered? And did he ever talk to you about it? Looked like he tweaked his knee pretty good in the game the other night. Did he ever talk to you guys about that?
Yes, he mentioned it. He did not do a specific thing, so doesn't know when it happened. He just sprinted up and down one time after one possession, and it was bothering him a little bit, and that's why he asked to come out. So not a specific incident. We watched the film, and nothing stood out there, and obviously led to the blow-by with Curry where he couldn't move great on that possession. But doing better, the day off, the rest, equal with today and tomorrow, and optimistic he'll be good to go, but we'll test it before the game as usual.
You've stayed in some variation of drop coverage pretty much for the most part against Steph. With your bigs, are they supposed to be reading like what spot on the floor they're supposed to be just because it's that spot on the floor? Or do you want them to read where the screen level is and react to that more so?
A little bit of both. We want them above three-point line, at three-point line at the lowest. We're leaving it up to our guards, a lot of responsibility where they want to pick him up in pressure and mix up his pickup point. Understanding they can mix some unders that have been quite successful against him if it's high enough. If not, force him in and rear view contest and get the onus on those guys more than anything. Their bigs aren't really getting out quick rolling, so we can show a crowd there. And they're really trying to set the screens and free them up as much as possible, more so than rolling, so our bigs don't have to worry about dropping.
Joe?
Marcus seemed to fall out of the sky onto his back, I think, in the fourth quarter. I'm just checking to see if he's okay. And then do you feel like you need more out of Tatum?
With the Marcus play, I think you're referring to the Jalen transition where he got the basket and Marcus got the free throw, put us up 5. He got pushed and they called the foul, and he's okay, though. Hasn't mentioned anything and played the rest of the game as far as that. With Jason, it's sometimes you equate missing shots to playing poorly. What we've seen is he's had some really good looks, especially in game 1, and we knew if he got those same looks throughout the series, he'd be successful. They are trying to take him out, guard him with 2 at times, and don't want to give him specific matchups, and at times he has to be the playmaker. And so in the 2 wins, he's had 13 and 9 assists, and he's getting 11 in those, and I think he's down around 5 in the losses. And so don't really equate the numbers of how he's shooting, more so the result of him making the play and making the right read. And so at times it can get frustrating, them trying to take you out, but understanding how it will loosen everything up just by making the right play. And you've seen that at times with him hitting Derek and Marcus and our bigs in the pocket and having the numbers behind to get some really easy baskets. And so take your spots, be aggressive when you have the matchup you like, understand that they're going to guard you a certain way and make the right read, which he has in the 2 wins.
On your left, Jay?
You said you don't really look at the shooting percentages with Jason, but he's shooting 27.5% from inside the arc. How much do you guys need to do to set him up in better situations? What does he need to do to finish better on those opportunities?
Draws the contact, he's finished well. The other part is inside the 3, they are really crowding and trying to take him away. So we want him, when he gets a cross match, to pop to space or roll in the pocket and try to get an advantage as far as that. So some of the isolations, elbow things we've done for him, they're really loading up. And even with that, he has to invite that and get guys other shots. And so more spacing than playing at the nail elbow area in this series. And for him, the numbers, I think, over-penetrating at times, but he has done a good job of mixing that and drawing the crowd, which is there every time, and finding a shooter. So it's a balance of both, and then just quite frankly, he's missed some easy ones that he usually makes around the basket, especially with their lack of rim protection at times.
Gary?
The narrative over the last couple of days is you guys blew your opportunity, the series is over, Golden State with the championships medal is going to put you guys away. How do you emphasize that the series is tied to you guys, but also that you can't have the last 4th quarters that you've had, you're kind of blowing it? How do you kind of blend that in, the message of you're very much alive, but then this can't happen again?
Yeah, first thing you look at is 2-2, and we obviously put ourselves in the position to, stretch the lead and be up 3-1, but bottom line is we're 2-2, and we earned that as well, not being down 0-2 or, 1-2 or whatever the case may be. And so I'm sure they said the same thing about Golden State after we beat them here, and we know it's a long series, and like I said, we've been battle tested in 2 7-game series in Milwaukee and Miami. And so for us, looking at the positives and the things we could have done better, not playing our best offense overall, I think the narrative gets shifted to Curry and what he's doing. But in our wins and losses, they're scoring the same points. And so a lot has been relying on our offense, to your point, in the fourth quarter. But even throughout the game, we had several opportunities, being up 5, 6, 7, and poor offense or turnovers let them back in the game. And so the difference in the game that we stretched the lead was we took advantage of those opportunities. We're solid, and against this team, anytime you run some poor offense, turn the ball over, live ball turnovers, let them get out, we know how quickly they can get back in the game, and that was the case in Game 4 when we had our chances.
By Manning CLNS Media, Ime, 2 on Jalen. Number 1, what do you think has allowed him to be so successful scoring-wise in this series? And number 2, just how can you continue to involve him into the later stretches of games? It feels like he usually does most of his work early, sometimes gets lost in the shuffle late in the fourth quarter.
I mean, they are switching some off-ball stuff, and we get some favorable matchups, but they're not guarding him the same as Jason. I think they're guarding him more one-on-one, and obviously he's a high-level scorer that can take advantage of that. Putting Green on him on the perimeter a little bit, I think, takes Green out of his comfort zone, and he's one of their best help defenders, so he's had some advantages there where they don't like to switch off ball. And to your point, he's got it going early in the game. It's a balance and a mix. I think ideally we like to have Jason and Jalen both rolling at the same time, and so it's a mix of going to the guy that's being aggressive and scoring and getting the others involved as well. And I think that's obviously when we're at our best, if you've seen throughout the year, when they're in their high 20s or 30s together. And so it's a balance of that, but at the same time, our players got to understand we got to put them in position to get them the ball in late in game and understand the advantage that they have. And so it works both ways. At times, we've been a little stagnant and they're standing around when they can be more aggressive to get the ball, but as well, we can put them in some play calls to get the scoring areas as well.
Ron, over here on the right.
Ime, Ron Krychek from the San Francisco Chronicle. You talked a little earlier about your defense on the screen and roll against Steph. How unique a challenge is it against him, not just because of his range, but because of the way he moves without the ball? Does that make it harder to maybe double or do things you might do against other perimeter players?
I would say, I mean, obviously the range extends the floor some, and, some of the shots that he's hitting are only shots that he can hit and have been highly contested, so he's hit a few of those. I think when you look at the overall numbers of him making threes out of our touch, I think it's very low. It's a combination, but it does get him in a rhythm, the fact that he's getting some of those shots off, but then he's moving in transition and relocating, getting some of those looks. So I think he was 3 for 6, 3 for 8 last game from out of touch, which isn't terrible, but he is getting some looks up. The thing he does well, obviously, is once he gets off the ball, the movement, that's different. He doesn't just stop, and they all are hunting shots for him, as you saw when we switched a little bit. So we can mix it up there, be a little bit more physical, mix some unders on him when he's that high. We've been good as far as that. But the fact that he's such a willing and good playmaker, I think it makes it tougher to go after him, as opposed to other guys who don't want to get off the ball. He finds the guys in the pocket, and then obviously that's when Draymond's at his best, making plays for others. So it's a balance of both. And like I said, I think the offense that he's having a successful series offensively, but if we're playing offense the right way, we'd be at 3-1 at least right now.
Brandon and Gary, last 2.
Coach Udoka, Brandon Scoopy Robinson, Valley Sports. You talked about Jason and his playmaking ability. I enjoyed watching it in Game 3. Specifically, I think it's very underrated. What specifically will you look to implement going into Game 5, and why do you, or rather, do you like him in a playmaker role with you guys during as much as he is a scorer?
I like both. We want the total package from him. It's something he's capable of and has really improved on this year. And so for him, it's just picking and choosing spots, when to be aggressive, when to get guys involved, and understanding what they're going to do. And he's seen that throughout the Miami series. Brooklyn went after him early, and even in Milwaukee, they're not going to let him beat them when he's on a roll like that. And so understanding it, welcoming it, and understanding guys rely on him for our offense to click. And so it wasn't just him in Game 3. I think Jalen had one of his best playmaking games also. And so that carryover and consistency, understanding how they're going to guard you. Some nights you have to loosen them up a little bit, be the bait, and get everybody else involved, and then they'll open up for you in the fourth quarter.
I mean, is the goal with Steph to have him shoot with obviously as many contests, or is it to him to give up the ball to teammates. It seems like he's beating whatever you guys give him, and he's done that for years, obviously, whatever defense, he's seen it all. But what's kind of the game plan with someone who can shoot so well and who can shoot against, taller contests so well?
Yes, we're not really good. We haven't gone after him much, honestly, like Durant or some of those other teams, and some is due to the personnel he has behind him and the playmakers that he has. For us, we rely on our one-on-one defense, our guys using their length to contest, and then our bigs being up as well. And so it's not as much as us going after him, and he's made some tough shots, no doubt, but I don't think the numbers look like they get skewed when he hits some of the other ones out of transition or miscommunication as opposed to us in our regular touch defense. And so with us, as I mentioned, if we are playing the right way on the other end, the defense has been fine. They're scoring around 107, scored 100 in a game. And when we've scored well, we've scored 120, 116. So our balance has to be better on offense, continue to make him work on that end and trust what we're doing on defense, which is allowing him to get some looks off, but kind of containing everybody else.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.